Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. In today's video, we're going to continue with our series of leak videos about One Piece chapters, and this time we have a little bit more information about the events that are going to be happening in chapter 1054. Please do remember that these are just leaks, and some things that we do cover may happen differently, or may have a different order with them, but as more leaks come out, we will bring you another video with much more detail that we are able to get. But before we dive into the leaks, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've been around for a bunch of episodes, we'd love it if you consider leaving us a like, or even subscribing and leaving us a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content, and if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing the video or the channel with a friend. Without further ado, let's get into these leaks. So friends, in this new information, we have a much better idea about what is going on in Wano, as well as the fact that Shanks seems to be acting on his thus far hidden objectives, and more importantly, what he intends to do now. In the previous chapter, we saw that Admiral Ryukugyu is heading right for the Flower Capital to confront Luffy and the other pirates that helped take down Kaido and Big Mom. In these new leaks of chapter 1054, we want to talk about what each topic kind of is before we go into depth of what each little piece of the leak means. So before we get into the fuller content, let's go over the list of things that we expect to see in chapter 1054. First off, chapter 1054 is going to be called the Emperor of Flames, referring to Ace's Entai attack. The title appears to be related to Sabo, who is the current bearer of the animenomi, being the focus of this chapter. Next, we have news announced that a very important character lost their life, and this news is also being related to Sabo. After that, we have confirmation that King Cobra, also known as Vivi's father, lost his life to some mysterious character, and the blame has fallen on Sabo. After that, we have it confirmed that Sabo and his companion from the Revolutionary Army managed to save Kuma, but during this confrontation, Sabo lost his life. Next in the chapter, we hear that Sabo has earned a title of Emperor of Flames and has gotten some notoriety around the world, and Monkey D. Dragon is going to a certain island with his entire fleet. The next topic covered is Shanks and his crew want to go to Wano to reunite with Luffy, but Shanks decides that he needs to go after Bartolomeo first. We also have it stated that Shanks actually says that it's time to go after the One Piece treasure. Following information about Shanks, we found out that Ryukugyu's devil fruit is referred to as the Morimori no Mi, also known as a fruit of the forest, and it is considered a Logia class fruit. And finally, Yamato hits Aramaki, otherwise known as Ryukugyu, in the head with his kanabo. And finally, at the end, Akainu talks to a new character. Now his name is Tensei, also known as Kuruma, the Dark Horse, and he is the head of the Internal Affairs section of the Marines, or at least something like that, and seems to be investigating everything that happened during the reverie. So now that we've talked about each of the topics that are going to be covered in this chapter, let's go a little bit deeper about what each of these topics might represent in a little bit more detail, and kind of get a bigger picture of what's going to happen in this chapter. In this chapter, it seems that we're going to be getting a lot of information about what happened with Sabo while he and his team were in Marijois, and it seems like it might be the main focus of this chapter. Now, besides knowing what's happening in Wano or Shanks' new goals, there's a little bit more that we're getting about the revolutionaries. As we know, before the beginning of the Wano arc, the 20 rulers of their countries had gathered at Marijois, and during this event, Sabo and some other revolutionaries attacked the place to save Kuma. However, they also had a run-in against Admiral Fujitora and Aramaki, also known as Green Bull. During the conflict between the revolutionaries and the admirals, apparently Sabo loses his life in order to save Kuma's life. Now, we don't have this confirmed that Sabo really lost his life, but it seems that however he was able to do it, he was able to save Kuma and his other companions. During this rescue, somehow King Cobra got involved and lost his life during the battle between the revolutionaries and the admirals. And this left Vivi incredibly shaken, with her father in her arms, for not knowing what she needed to do next in that occasion. Now again, we don't know the full outcome of this huge confusing action that's going on, but we're probably going to get a little bit revealed about what happened, and we'll get a little bit more probably in the next coming chapters afterwards. It's also shown that there are other events going on in this chapter, such as the new objectives of the revolutionaries, who seem to be moving to get some clue that either Sabo's still alive, or they're maybe staging up for their next action against the world government. And in addition to what's going on with the world government and the revelry and the revolutionaries and Sabo, we also are getting more information about Shanks, and that he's starting to work on goals that he's been waiting on for quite a long time. So as we can see, there's several different pieces moving all at once. So everything is kind of working to set the final stage of our, kind of conclusion to One Piece. So we could expect to see several events are going to be happening in each chapter from now on until they coalesce. Now, we also got a little more information that it seems that Sabo somehow managed to save Kuma, of course, who was enslaved by the Celestial real dragons. But with the help of his fellow revolutionaries, Sabo was able to save Kuma and stood in the front line against the admiral so that the rest could escape Mary Joie. But because of standing his ground, Sabo, running into Fujitora and Ryukugyu, it seems that Sabo may have lost his life against these two very powerful opponents. But again, like we just said, we don't have confirmation on this. And this is something that could mean that if he's still alive, the world government could be using Sabo in a similar way to lure the revolutionaries as they did with Ace to luring Whitebeard. And it may be something, even bigger that they have planned and been waiting to kind of do. So after learning the events that happened with Sabo, Dragon and the fleet of revolutionaries are now moving to some island on which we have no information yet, but it may be the location of Sabo, or they may even be going to Mary Joie itself. Dragon has gathered his entire fleet, and it may be that this is the start to the real plan to finish off the world government, because the revolutionaries and the world government are going to come to a head. So we may see a bit of a battle starting out in the next couple of chapters. And again, like we just said, this could be a kind of a repeat of what happened in Marineford, where Sabo's been used as a hostage and Dragon just cannot help himself but to go and try and free him. But this may turn out a little bit differently than what happened in Marineford, because unlike Whitebeard, who had dominated islands and was really located in pretty obvious places during his adventures, the revolutionaries have acted in a much more shadowy and hidden way. So nobody really knows the location or how many revolutionaries for a fact are really even a part of the organization. It's only the revolutionaries, and maybe even Dragon just himself, that know really the full constitution of what the army entails. So overall, it'd be a much more difficult situation for the world government to find a base of the revolutionaries and just kind of create an all-out attack against Dragon. So they're gonna have to do something a little more shady, like taking Sabo, who of course is Dragon's right-hand man, and might make Dragon go directly to them. It's also interesting, and we do have to admit that we don't know exactly why the world government would have stated that Sabo died rather than just kind of having him held hostage. But it's most likely to really make Dragon even more worried and enraged, and really want to go after the world government on behalf of Sabo. Something also quite interesting to mention in this leak is that after Sabo managed to eat the animenomi, which of course was the devil fruit priorly owned by him and Luffy's brother Ace, he has now taken on the moniker of Emperor of Flames. And we don't know exactly the reason why he's called an emperor, because of course the Emperor of the Sea kind of organization, the Shishibukai, has been dissolved, and Ace was known as Fire Fist Ace. But the reason might be more related to his position within the revolutionaries, because he's practically the leader. I mean, commanding revolutionaries along with Dragon. And so it may be that they're just kind of putting the power of this really quite powerful Logia fruit with some of the other things that Sabo has done. And because maybe Sabo has been able to use it to a much greater effect than Ace, or at least what we were able to see from Ace, this led Sabo to become the Emperor of Flames. The next topic covered in the leaks is that Shanks is really looking forward to seeing Luffy again. And he's really been waiting a long time for Luffy to become stronger, and he's always kept an eye on what Luffy's doing and where he is in the world. But it was only after Luffy managed to survive Big Mom's attack during the Whole Cake Island arc that Shanks finally realized that the time was closely at hand that they would see each other again. It very well could be that Shanks, once he heard that Luffy was on Wano and what he was there to do, that Shanks waited in the area because he wanted to see how Luffy came out of it, and if Luffy were strong enough to take down Kaido and Big Mom, even with help, this would really trigger what Shanks was waiting for. But unfortunately, due to some unforeseen events, mainly related to a crew in Luffy's Grand Fleet, Shanks had to change his mind. So Luffy's Grand Fleet, of course, came about during the Dressrosa arc, and Luffy managed to acquire a fleet, and one of his members is kind of a fanboy called Bartolomeo. Now, he has a great respect and love for Luffy, and so he's been going around the world doing actions that favor the Straw Hats on behalf of Luffy. Of the things that Barto has been doing around the world includes conquering territories on behalf of Luffy, and it seems that Bartolomeo did manage to conquer a territory that Shanks owned. This could mean that Bartolomeo may have caused a lot more trouble with Shanks, causing the Yonko to become really quite irritated with him. So Shanks, it seems, is now after Bartolomeo to defeat him. Now, the reason could be just as simple enough as that he doesn't want the red-haired pirates to lose standing. And, this is something that also could be annoying to him, because now that Barto has kind of gotten in his way, he's gonna have to postpone running in and meeting with with Luffy. So next in the league, we hear that Shanks decides that instead of going to meet Luffy, he is going to search out Bartolomeo. But also, and most excitingly, he said that now is the time to find the One Piece, because he might have seen that Luffy has managed to defeat Kaido and not only become a Yonko, but unlock the power that is necessary to get the One Piece. But first, Shanks is going to go after and have to deal with Bartolomeo. And even though he may be an ally, he may not know that he's Luffy's friend, or even if he does, he still has to kind of deal with it to keep the Yonko face in the public. The last subject in the leaks is of course that Aramaki, otherwise known as Green Bull or Ryokugyu, managed to finally get to the Flower Capital to confront Luffy. And he also revealed and confirmed the power of his devil fruit, that Ryokugyu possesses the Morimori no Mi, the forest fruit, a Logia in which it saw that he possesses the ability to create plants and even roots through his body. The Logia style of the fruit was probably confirmed after Ryokugyu got a direct hit to the head by Yamato, but there still may also be the possibility that it's an awakened paramecia that has the ability to kind of resemble a Logia, or maybe it's just a Logia straight up and it's just something we've never heard about so far in One Piece. Moving on from the Marine in Wano, we go to the Marines that are in leadership, and of course we're talking about the end of the chapter where we see a Kainu talking to a new character who is really possibly quite strong or even a much higher or even equal rank within the Marines. The character's name is said to be Tensei, also known as Kuroma, which is the Dark Horse, and he's the head of the internal affairs section of the Marines. Now, during the dialogue between Akainu and Tensei, it said that this new character is investigating everything that happened during the revelry, so they will know exactly how Sabo may have lost his life. But with all that said, friends, there you have our second dose of leaks for chapter 1054. And right now, we'd love to know what you think about it. What part of this next chapter are you really looking forward to? And also, do you think that there's gonna be another battle? And after that, do you think that we could start having things like combo chapters where we're following multiple threads in a story? And what do you think is gonna be the result? Do you think Sabo is in fact dead, or is this gonna be an Oda thing where maybe the world government is using him to try and draw Dragon out? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So as we wrap up the video, I wanna thank you so much for watching the video all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, why don't you give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I really hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.